What's up, YouTube? Welcome back. 450 SMC Ammo Test continued. We are on number 5 today. We have 4 other awesome tests in the books, but today we are on number 5. Now, the last one that we did was Quick Shock from TRITON, one of the original ammos for 450 SMC ever made. This box we think is at least 20 years old, and this was a 3-pedaled fragmenting round. It performed pretty cool. You should check out that test. That was number 4. So today is number 5. Hi-Vel from TRITON again, another one of the originals, like I said. 450 SMC, 230 grain jacketed hollow point, numbers blah blah blah, 1150 feet per second and 675 foot-pounds. Now that's the same numbers for the Quick Shock, so I'm assuming everything's the same except for just a different projectile. I did explain the 450 SMC in the last video a little bit, so check that out if you're interested. But all you really need to know for today's video is we have a Remington R1 1911 5-inch. This is what we're going to be using as our test piece. We're going to be using it to shoot 5 rounds through the chronograph into this B8 target. We're going to check accuracy and an average of foot-pounds and velocity. Then we'll move the chronograph right to in front of the gel where we'll capture the velocity of the bullet that's going to impact the gel. And we have 2 10% clear ballistics gel blocks lined up, 20 inches apiece for a total of 40 inches of gel. This one's basically going to be a catcher block, I think. I'm pretty sure we'll contain it in the first one, but we always have a backup. Testing explained, let's get to shooting. All right, 5 rounds of Hi-Vel loaded up. We're 20 feet off that B8 target. We are 15 feet off that chronograph. Now, the last box of ammunition, the Quick Shock, that had a little bit of a problem loading on one of those rounds as we shot. Let's see how this one does. First one chambered just fine. We have 3-dot white sights. We got it into the X-ring at 1157. A little bit higher and right, and I broke the trigger a little bit earlier than I wanted to at 1147. And again, I broke that trigger weird for some reason, but it went hole in hole. I did the exact same thing, and the bullet went to the exact same place at 1150. And we're on the X air at 1140, and we had the exact same jam. So this could be magazine related. I'm not sure. This is the exact same jam we had. Now we're using a Wilson Combat magazine. And I haven't had this problem and with any prior ammunitions with this firearm. It went ahead and went in the chamber, but I don't really want it in there because it's going to have a big dent in the side of it. As soon as I get it out, it'll have a big dent in the side where it ran in there. So it's really odd that we had that twice in a row. It just must not like that velocity or that pressure against its slide in that exact figuration. I don't know. Configuration. But I'll put that one in my pocket, and I'll grab the other one that I knew to bring with me just in case that happened. And we will do a proper load of a 1911. You don't load them one by one and then drop the slide on them. So there we go. We got one more loaded, and boom, I got brass right to my face that time. That's weird. I don't ever get brass to my face either. So that's a little bit odd with this firearm. I've never been hit in the face, ever. With a Colt Defender, yes, but not this gun. I can never remember that. We did put it right on the X where we wanted to. We got 1152, but there is something weird about the ejection of the brass on this gun, obviously. And then that hang up that this and the last round, or the last box of ammo had. I have it right here in my pocket. This one, we did have the hang up with also, so pretty weird. Let's go take a look at the target. All right, right there, we smacked the X a couple times, and then these were my weird shots where I basically put a hole in a hole by doing something wrong with my trigger, but very accurate ammunition. The other ammunition, the Quick Shock, was also very accurate. In the hand, it feels like a spicy 10mm. That's what most people can relate it to. Now, just a little bit about my accuracy shooting. Inevitably, somebody always comments in the comment section about shooting offhand if I don't mention this. So I shoot offhand because this is for defensive, practical application type of purposes here, this testing for accuracy, and you wouldn't have a bench rest or a table or anything like that in the real world if you were in a defensive shooting. So we just do it offhand like you would normally have to shoot the gun. All right, 15 feet off the chronograph and gel block. Let's go ahead and see what this Hi-Vel does. Dead center shot right at 1150. So right what they said it would be. $11.50 on the head. A good center punch to the gel block. You see immediate disruption. And then coming in from the side, there you go. Nice little wound track, but I'm going to call it a little wound track because we're used to somewhat longer stuff with 10mm and things. Let me straighten up this tape. All right, tape is straightened up. We see the typical jacketed hollow point type of entrance wound right there, permanent wound cavity. You saw what it did on the slow motion, and this is what is left over afterwards. Right there, it kind of wound down a little bit at the 11, maybe 11.5 inch mark. It had a tiny amount of bounce back. It is opened up pretty well. It went down to a smaller wound channel right at the end like they usually do. But overall, it's a consistent wound track. It's just not all that deep, especially for something that's supposed to be, you know, getting in there pretty good. I'd say, you know, 45 Super, 450 SMC, 10mm, things like that. They're supposed to drive a little bit. At least in my opinion. All right, coming in from the top, you basically see the same thing. It winds down. Now here, when it gets down to the end, you do see it is pretty wide-faced. It did open up pretty good. We're going to dig it out here in a second, but that's definitely what slowed it down in the gel. That's why it didn't penetrate as deeply as some cartridges. And then you saw on the slow motion, it did have a pretty good dump of energy there. So there you go. It did widen out pretty good. That flattening effect, that mushrooming effect, and keeping it wide like that is what slows it down in the gel. That's also what dumps the energy. The pedal back here from the copper, it stayed close to its base. It's not bonded to the copper like some rounds are, but it didn't shed off either. So not too bad there. We'll have the diameter and the weight up in the corner, of course, but that thing traveling at that kind of velocity, dumping that kind of energy, that's no joke, really. It didn't penetrate too deeply, but it's not exactly an underperformer as far as delivering energy on target. So not too bad on the accuracy. You saw the gel was good in permanent wound cavity. You saw the slow motion for temporary wound cavity. Let me know what you think about this 20-year-old technology, at least 20-year-old technology, that we just shot today. You can't go to the store and buy this stuff, but you can still find it floating around flea markets or auction sites, things like that. You're probably going to pay a little pretty penny for it, but it's more just cool to have and test. I wanted to show it to you because you don't really see this on YouTube. I'm not sure if anybody has tested this particular cartridge on YouTube, and if they did, if it was much more than just a simple shot or two. But we have it. We have the gel test. We put the data there for both of these cartridges, the high shock and this Hi-Vel. Now it's cool, it's documented, there we go. That's the point of our ammo test series. You can look back on these things, they're all numbered 1 through whatever. We just keep going on with them. Check out the 10mm, the 45 Super, 40 Super, 450 SMC, like you're watching right now. They're all really cool, and all the other cartridges. Hope you enjoy these types of videos. Thank you for watching this one, and until we see you next time, stay safe, have fun, and keep shooting cool cartridges if you can find them.